Okay, what we've done now is we've looked at our data and we've decided what our need is. And then with that need, well, there are a few, so we decided which one will be the best one to work on, the greatest need. And then what we did was we got together and we pulled all our best practices. So that took a while. And then with those best practices, we've said, okay, which ones do we want to include in a lesson? How can we meet all the students' needs? How can we keep them interested? How can we have this go smoothly? So we've pulled 3 or 4 really good ideas together. Then what we did was we sequenced them so that they would flow. Now what Leanne and I have done is we've taken that rough data that we have and all these things and we put them together and we've scripted it. We've made the lesson and we've put it together so what we think will flow well.
Once we have decided on our topic and we've decided on our best practices, then we begin looking at the lesson itself and we lay out a very detailed lesson. We talk about what instructional strategies we're going to use, and these instructional strategies and their effect on the students' learning is what we'll be looking for, what the observers will be looking for throughout the lesson. Once we have a very general lesson, we script the lesson, and by scripting we don't mean word for word, we mean a very, very detail of the entire process, starting from the hook that grabs the student's attention to the closure that keeps the students thinking once they've left the classroom. This script goes into how we ask questions. We think about the wording of those questions because that wording is very important to get across to our students what it is that we expect them to learn. We anticipate student responses to our instructions so that we can think of ways that we can react to what the students are learning and to deepen their understanding.
Scripting a lesson is when, like, you sit down, there's a couple of us sitting down and we decide what we're going to be doing, like before the lesson, during the lesson, and after the lesson. So we're deciding like what activities we're going to do, what questions we're going to ask, and the reason why we're doing it is to see if it actually works and if the children are going to be able to answer these questions effectively in the end.
The lesson study and the lesson itself has a variety of layers, and we're starting with the overarching goal, and this is our long-term goal for the students. And then after we look at all the data and look at our old lessons and we find instructional weaknesses, then we specifically target a unit and a lesson for our research lesson. And we look at how that content can relate to the overarching goal so we can link them together, because our goal is always to improve the student. And then we look at the instructional focus, and these are the best practices, and we might want to try a new instructional strategy that we've discovered to see how it works in the classroom and maybe what's the best way to deliver that instruction. From there we go on and look at the state standards and the city objectives to make sure that we are targeting instruction that is standard-based. And we also look at the state framework and at the curriculum guide, because this also gives us an understanding of where we've been and where we're going. We take our instructional sequence, which is the beginning of the unit all the way through the end of the unit, and somewhere embedded within that instructional sequence is our lesson study. Curriculum itself, there are also essential questions and enduring understandings. And these are very important to make sure that the students are learning just what the standards are telling us that they need to learn.
The hardest part of scripting a lesson is trying to write down what you mean. It's between the 3 of us, we keep bouncing ideas off each other, and then we end up rewriting it quite often. I don't know how many times, like at least 4 or 5 times for each little section. So it's, getting the words down and trying to get it across to the people that are going to be observing so that they know what they have to look for.
We've discovered over time that a word-for-word script is very restricted to the teacher, and it takes away their spontaneity. We were finding that there was a group of students who clearly understood the topic and were ready to go on, and the teacher didn't take them any further because they were stuck with the script. So we've moved away from that word-to-word description so that teachers can respond to what's happening in the classroom. We want the teachers to respond to the students' facial expressions, because the facial expression gives you the aha moment and also tells you, no, the student's not getting it.
Everyone thinks differently, and so we want to have a script that everyone's comfortable with, and everyone thinks that they can be successful with and our children can do well with. And then we're going to have to decide exactly what our resources are going to be. Our team is really good at this. They'll, oh, I'm good at that, let me have this one. So the assignments will actually kind of be self-motivated by the people who want to do different types of things. Like we have a drama person, they'll probably want to make the name cards. So it's really nice because we pull in everyone's strengths when we make these resources.